Hey everyone, this video I'm going to be reviewing Tennison Gambit, and I hope you enjoy. So for Tennison Gambit, white plays e4, black responds with d5, knight f3, takes knight g5, and here black has a lot of options, but you'll see the most often is probably knight f6. Then in almost all Tennison Gambit lines, you would go queen e2, and a lot of people will probably play bishop f5, and this is probably the most common trap. Queen b5, bishop d7, queen takes b7, bishop c6, bishop b5, queen d6, bishop takes bishop, queen takes bishop, checkmate. I actually caught somebody with this trap a few days ago, so if you haven't already, check that video out. And yes, that's probably the most common trap. Instead of going queen d6, white should obviously take the bishop, but then we just take the rook and we're winning. But at least you don't get checkmated. And if they do go queen d6, then takes. They shouldn't take with queen because that's checkmate. If they take with knight, then we just take the rook, but then they just are still down a rook. Then fork, and it's really bad. So that's probably the most common trap. And if you didn't notice, black can't take the queen because it's pinned to the king. So that's probably the most common trap. Also, if black goes bishop f5 before knight f6, you also go queen e2. Then if black goes queen d5, here's where the fun starts. You go knight b3, and black will most likely want to go queen e5, trying to keep the pawn defended. But if you ever get this position, just so you know, you go pawn d4, and most people would take the pawn. Most people would take the pawn, and then automatically, no matter what happens here, white is winning. Let's run through all the options. If bishop over here, then we just take the rook, and he can't defend the rook, as in right here, and we already saw what would happen to black. If black's with queen, then we just also take the rook, and if right here, he just loses a queen. And I mean, yeah, if he tries to go right here, saving the rook, then we just take the bishop. And we're also threatening not mate next move, because he has king d8, but it's not very great. Because then we go queen c4, forcing queen trade, because if he doesn't take, we just fork. The king, the queen, and the rook. If he doesn't go queen there, we still fork the rook. So, and we're already up a bishop, so that'll be a rook and a bishop, which is worth the queen. And if black doesn't resign, then black, what are you doing with your life? Like, come on, dude. Then another like fun line is if knight f6, queen e2, and then he goes queen d5, attacking the knight and defending the pawn, and trying to force the knight to h3. If the knight did go to h3, white would be in a horrible position. He'd be down a pawn, he'd have doubled pawns, he'd have the bishop here, but it wouldn't be super strong, and black would be in a horrifying position. But yeah, so then we go actually pawn h4, but then trying to get the knight to h3 again. This time it's not as bad because takes, and we don't have doubled pawns, but you don't want your rook out very early, and you still don't have a great position. That's minus attack. What you really do is knight c3, which attacks the queen, and you can't take the knight because a knight is a little bit less important than a queen, and it also puts another attacker on the pawn. So most people go queen e5, which is a normal move. Then we just take it, and it's a very important part. If black takes with knight back, do not take with knight. you won't be losing, but you could be like much in a much better position if you went pawn d3, because then um after, like, I don't know, let's say knight develops, we take with pawn, and we just have an e pawn that's controlling the center, and he has nothing. So we're just in a much stronger position than if we just took back and our knight's ish hanging, and no, that's just, it'd be much weaker. And like Engine is arguing, and like our Engine is saying, Black would maybe go bishop g4, and warning, do not take the bishop, then he gets discovered attack. It's not pretty. You're down. Oh, no. Just don't get involved with that. You don't actually lose a piece, because if he goes knight back trying to um save the knight from being taken, we just checkmate, but then your pawns are doubled, and no, just no. Do not take the bishop. What you do is just take with the queen. He'll most likely take back, and you take with pawn, and you're just in an awesome position. You have the bishop pair, a much stronger one than he does. You have central control. You have nice castling rights. You're just in a better position in every single way. Then also, if black tries to, like, after knight g5, I sometimes get this position, pawn f5, just trying to simply defend the pawn, and then next move, just trying to go pawn h6. What we do is bishop c4, and we're already in a nice position. If queen d4, then we just check, and black restricts his castling rights, and our bishop is somewhere where black does not want it to be. Yeah, because then also we have bishop there, which if he takes bishop, then he loses a queen, and next move, well, he'll probably go knight h6, but next move, there's a big chance he won't notice. We have knight f7, and even if he does go knight h6, we're still in a very nice position, and it's nice looking. If he goes not queen d4, but knight h6 right away, then we just castle. We're in a nice position, and we have one more piece than black developed, and our two pieces compared to his, like, little knight that literally just, the only reason it's even on h6 is to defend. Like, our pieces are actually attacking, and his knight's pinned. Our pieces can go wherever they desire. And our knight can't actually get trapped to h3, because by going knight h6, black blocks his h-pawn. So knight h6 would be the correct move, but white would still be in a nice position, and it's a little bit like white, if assuming that it was black in this position, which theoretically was not possible, but assuming we'd actually be about equal. But the nice thing about white is that theoretically, if you don't give up a piece, you don't blunder, and you don't give up, like, give him like the bishop pair or any big weakness, white is never losing because it's white. Black, if you didn't make any huge blunders, but the actual position, you don't have much tactics, white is winning because he's one move, like, white's always one move ahead. And yeah, being one move ahead, white is usually the one to attack and has more choices to pick the opening in the beginning, to pick anything. Like, black most of the time is the one that's gonna be defending, like in this Gambit. And yeah, again, knight h6 is the best move, but white is a little bit winning because it's white, and we didn't make any blunders. We actually made good moves, and because we're white, we just had that tiny little advantage for in the future black messing up like one little move. And because we're white and we have that advantage, we can just take advantage more than black could take advantage of us, because we're white, and because we're one move ahead, we're usually the ones to attack, unless we blunder a queen by, like, I don't know, going queen g4. And then there's also pawn e6, which is not good. We just take with knight. He will take with bishop right here, and we're attacking the pawn. There's most likely going to be queen f6 trying to attack the bishop and um, defending the pawn. But then we'll go bishop c8, attacking or threatening taking the rook. What you'll most often see is like knight d7 from a very high rated player. Most other players would play something like, I don't know, queen c6, which positionally isn't a good move because they lose the pawn. But most high rated players, we'll see, they're okay with losing the b pawn because then at least they get their b file opened up. Most high rated players will see that instead of going like queen a or c6. And yeah, those are the main lines of the Tennison game, but they're much deeper lines, especially in the lines where white isn't completely winning, but has a lot of comeback because it's white, or not comeback, but a lot of potential because it's white. Like has a lot of potential endgame and is just much better off. And this is a very strong opening for white because unless white screws up, um, it's either white's winning completely, white already won with checkmate, or white's a little bit winning, which all choices are good. So if black accepts it, white is automatically in a nice looking position.